Okay, so it's Tuesday, the 21st of January. Welcome if you're catching up. This is our first session of Business Brilliance. So, welcome. I'm so excited to have you all on. We're a lovely group of six, so like a really nice, intimate group, which will be really fantastic. And having spoken to all of you individually, I know you're going to really click and get on, and you share a lot of values and a lot of talents and ambitions and everything. So yeah, it's going to be really lovely the next 3 months. So I'm actually really excited for all of you to meet each other and to hear what you do and for each of you to get to know each other. So maybe that's where we'll start tonight by just like taking some time to say who each of you are and your businesses and everything. And as I was saying, we'll be wrapped up shortly after 8 o'clock. We are going to start a first module. We may as well. And we're going to do personal and business management. That's what it's all about tonight. So it's kind of like the basic or the foundation, but it's actually not as basic as it. It's not as easy implemented than you would think it would be, right? And it really is the core of like everything in your work, right? How you show up and managing your time, managing your energy, having a good work-life balance. And the reason that I started with this one tonight is because I want you to get the most value out of this course, right, over the next 3 months. So I reckoned if we started there, that if you can manage your time and your energy good from the get-go, and you kind of pick up a few things that help you work more efficiently and have a better work-life balance and everything, that the idea is that you'll implement stuff that'll be teaching you. You'll have time to do it. You know what I mean? You'll have energy and headspace to implement the stuff that we're going through. Because I know it's hard when you're working and you've other commitments and you've this once a fortnight now as well, and you're going to be implementing things in your business. So it's a busy time. So we want to be able to make sure we're all good in that. Okay, so we'll do a quick whip around. If you just want to say briefly who you are and maybe what part of the country you're in and what your business is about, and maybe what you're looking forward to in this course. What are some of the ambitions, or why did you join? And we can kind of give a little synopsis. So, Mary, you're first on my screen there. So, do you want to start?
Yeah, no worries. I might, Ashling, if it's okay, just pop my audio on and off, just because I
Sure.
have my daughter and one of the neighbors' kids in the other room, so
Oh,
I just
no
don't want
bother.
any back noise. But
No bother.
my own name is Mary O'Sullivan. I am a designer here in Limerick, a fashion designer. So my work kind of centers a lot around storytelling and but placing a lot of significance on community. So because I'm from Limerick, a lot of my work is centered on Limerick at the moment. Um, and yeah, how I got into fashion, I suppose it was always kind of there for me. Um, I have two older sisters, and my mom, would always come over to me and be like, "What do you think of this?" and like styling advice and everything like that. And then I tried fashion in LSAD as well as a module, and just it was no going back from there. And yeah, I've kind of been, I suppose, dipping my toe in it the last few years, doing kind of like mini kind of self-motivated projects to kind of begin after college. Um, just creating again. And I have, I suppose, in earnest began my business now in the last year. But like I say business lightly, it's not where I want to be, but it's starting me somewhere. And I think the reason why I did the course was because well, I had done the call with yourselves a little while back, and I think my big thing is that like in business, I don't know what I don't know. So it's like about figuring out, okay, what should I be doing? What are other people doing in their businesses that I could implement in mine, and how I can kind of expand and um yeah, develop more as a person and also a business.
Brilliant, Mary. Thanks so much.
Mhm. No
Absolutely
bother.
fantastic.
No
Um,
worries.
I was going to spotlight you, but I've just realized sometimes when you spotlight someone, it comes up super big and that can be really distracting. So I'm not going to do that for the rest of you, because I've had that done to me a few times. I'm like, oh my God, that's me very big on the screen. So apologies, Mary, if I startled you there with the spotlight.
Good girl. All good.
So who else is on my screen? Ellen, would you like to go?
Sure. Hi guys. My name is Ellen. I'm based in Cork City, but I'm from Roscommon. I'm 4 years in business. This just gone in January. And then why did I join? I got married last year, and I feel like it completely derailed my business life, and I would like to get back on track. But I think also I've been in a period of growth. Like I think who I'm targeting, what my messaging is, all those kind of things are changing. I just haven't kind of got the pieces in place. And while my job is branding, graphic design, and strategy, it's very hard to do it for yourself. So I've checked in for some help and a nice community of people along the way.
Great, fabulous,
That's
Ellen.
more or less it.
Perfect. Diane, would you like to go?
Sure. Hello, I am Diane. I'm from Dublin. I was in insurance for 17 years and I qualified as a nutritionist and personal trainer. I went to work for a gym then after leaving my corporate job for 1 year, and I have just entered my second year being self-employed. So I've gone out on my own, coaching women with kind of nutrition, training, lifestyle, all that kind of stuff. And I'm really looking forward to meeting people not in the fitness industry actually, to learn kind of some transferable skills that I can get from you guys as well. So yeah, really looking forward to that part.
Great, fabulous. And last but not least for now anyway, Natasha.
Hi. I totally tumbled into self-employment, properly tumbling in. I come from an art and education background, so I was an art teacher for about 12 years and really just knew that I couldn't keep going. I walked out of my job not knowing where I was going or what I was doing, and with the excitement of really, really kind of knowing that there was so much to learn. I absolutely love learning. I'm after embracing so many courses. So I'm trained in oxygen advantage, breathing, and pranayama, as well as shamanic practitioner and energy healing. So my business kind of blends the two of them together. Um, I think I'm just kind of coming into my second year of business, and as I said, really, I haven't got a clue. I don't know what I'm doing. Some things seem to be magically fluky, where I would fill a workshop and it'd be brilliant, and then the next minute there'd be no one coming up, and you put all this effort into your lovely advertising and stuff. And I guess why I'm here is to meet like-minded people because it feels really lonely, and also to just get that guidance that I feel I really, really need on growing a sustainable business, really connecting with clients. And I know you'll never have clients forever, but just keeping a constant client flow so that you know you don't have to worry about filling a class or a workshop. And again, you can put out so much energy in creating a class and then people just not attending and you're losing money and time for, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I have so much to learn. I'm really, really excited to be here. So thank you so much.
Great, not a bother. And thanks to everyone for sharing there. But you know what, the biggest thing we all have in common is, I suppose what's come up there is like the clarity, like the certainty, at least that if you are doing things in your business and you are spending time and energy, that you know you're doing the right thing by yourself for whatever you're wanting to achieve, whether that be like clients, regular money coming in, like sustainable, like security is the biggest thing for people, I reckon, as well, like peace of mind. Um, and many of the people that I'd work with are not looking for like, million-euro businesses, or they're not looking for like 20K months, but like they would like to think that their wage is safe and secure, and that there's like not these big peaks and troughs, that it's like, oh yeah, I can plan, I can plan my life, I can get a mortgage, I can, do life things, but be self-employed and do what I love, which is really important. So I'm excited for all of us to get going, and we will have a couple of in-person meetups as well. When I organize them, I'll give you the dates, and I really do feel like that solidifies the group when everyone meets up and meets in person and spends the day together and does the workshops and lunch and stuff. So at least you'll all have faces to the names now as well inside in the WhatsApp chat and all the rest. So you've probably gone through the onboarding at this stage. You have the Google platform. The WhatsApp group, it's totally up to yourselves how much you want to use it or not. The last group, or the 3 to 6 months group now, they are really, they use it quite a bit. Like they pop in questions, or they, say, how are you all getting on this week? Or, if someone puts a post in their social media, they'll sometimes drop it into the group and be like, look, can you give it some love? Can you give it a comment or like a like or something like that? So they're really, really good to support one another. But like I'm just going to let your group take its own shape and its own direction, its own energy. But never feel like you need to keep up with the WhatsApp group, because I know there's so many WhatsApp groups and there's a lot of pressure and attention and phones and all the rest. So focus on yourselves and your own business and implementing those bits. But obviously, if you have the headspace and the time to be interacting with the community and everything, it is really lovely, you know. But I'll let that to your own discretion. And apart from that, if you have the dates in your calendar for going forward once a fortnight on the Tuesday night at 6:30, that's a winner as well, because I suppose you will get an awful lot of benefit if you're on them live, because you can ask specific questions on the workshops, like about your business, you know, and I will ask you questions of like, how might this be useful to your business, or do you have any questions, or say Mary in your industry, or say Natasha in your industry, you know. It's very interactive, so it's totally fine to catch up if you miss one and you grab the recording. But if you could make the effort to be on the lives, I feel like it focuses people a little bit better and kind of keeps them on track and keeps engaged and all the rest. So if you don't have them in your diary already, you can pop them in. Okay, sure, look, we'll get cracking then. I'm going to share my screen and we will start on the first topic. Now, are there any questions before we dive into this? Ellen?
Okay. I don't know if you're going to have slides or not, but I'm just wondering, are they something, if you do have slides, are you sending them on? Just how many notes should I be taking, basically?
I'll send all the slides onto that Google platform. So every time we have a
Perfect.
session, yeah, I'll pop up the recording and I'll pop up the slides, and any resources or kind of worksheets or fillables that I think might be helpful, they'll all be on the platform. So yeah, you'll be able to grab them or print them, whatever. Yeah, yeah.
Great, thank you.
No bother. You can jot down anything, you know, that's worth highlighting
Yeah.
for yourself, whatever. But don't be baiting the hand off yourself, taking all the notes.
Perfect, that suits me.
Yeah, perfect. No worries at all. Okay, so anything else there? Or are we kind of good to go? Okay, fab. So what I'll do is I will share my screen. I'm just going to take a quick look in the WhatsApp chat in case Eleanor or Michelle are having difficulty getting in. No, it seems like they're all good. Okay, perfect. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen and hopefully you'll be able to see this. Okay. Now. Can everybody see this one? Yeah, okay, brilliant. We'll scoot up to the top. Okay, fantastic. So 1.1, personal and business management. And as I was saying, the reason that I'm doing this at the very start and we're not jumping into business strategy or marketing or any of those lovely things is because I really want you to get grounded in, I suppose, managing yourself and managing your business in a way that allows you to create a little bit of space and both physical time and also headspace to be able to engage with this course and to be able to implement the stuff that, you know, we'll be going through. One of the biggest challenges that I had as a business owner, and still have actually sometimes, is, you know, managing your business and then personal life and relationships and home life, and then if you've kids, and also minding your health and trying to maintain a social life and running a household, and oh yeah, don't forget to switch off as well in the meantime somewhere, and all of these things, right? So it's like an art, I think, you know, and sometimes in business you manage it better than others. But there's going to be a few important points, hopefully, that will kind of help you with this, right? So what you can expect in this session. So we're going to look at how you can set yourself up for success with this course and your business, including your time and energy management, your organization, and your planning. Understand the importance of self-management as a business owner. Identify your current business owner avatar, which we'll be going through, which might be interesting. And look, a lot of you are probably really good at this stuff. Like if you've gotten a year, 2, 3, 4 years into your business already, like you're probably quite good at this, because typically the best business owners I know manage themselves well. Like they manage their time and their energy. It doesn't have to be super structured by any means. You can be someone who likes to work quite intuitively and you know, in their own flow, and sometimes people just kind of don't plan every inch and it seems to work out for them. If you're one of those people, fantastic, but as long as you find what works for you, that's the biggest thing. Learn how to work smarter, not harder, in your business. Understand and implement this concept that I've called kind of focus and flow time. So the 3 F's: focus, flow, and free time in your week. There's a thing called Parkinson's law, which we'll be looking at, and we're going to look at a thing called the Eisenhower matrix as well, which might be helpful, which some of you might have come across before. And then look at tools for managing your energy, and I'm going to introduce you to a kind of like a traffic light system. Diane, you might use this for your clients already, but that's a handy thing to have. And yeah, just you having clear action points to take away and to implement over the next fortnight in your everyday and in your business. And at the end of each session, I'll always ask you, okay, what have been your biggest takeaways? But most importantly, what are your specific action points for like the next fortnight that you want to work on? So we can have like homework per se, right? Or at least a focus or like an intention from the session, basically. Okay, so self-management in business. Like, why is this even important? So we were talking about that, like at the end of the day, we are all of our businesses, right? We're small business owners. It's ourselves right now. We might not have a team or whatever, but like the buck kind of stops with us, right? So if we're not in good steed, or if we're not in a good headspace or good energy, well, then chances are the business won't be either, right? We've all been in places in our lives where, things were going well and you seem to be energetic and, getting your exercise in and having a good work-life balance, and everything happens in flow where you can, take your downtime, and with that, your creativity peaks, your inspiration peaks, your enthusiasm for looking for clients or interacting with clients or whatever peaks, and you just seem to like magnetize opportunity and stuff towards you, right? And then there's other times where that does not happen and you're constantly chasing your tail, or you're feeling exhausted, and you're kind of allergic to showing up on social media or interacting with clients, whatever. And it's a direct reflection of how you're feeling personally, really, right? That's what it is. So it all kind of starts with yourself, right? So we're going to go through, I suppose, different avatars of business owners, which I've just made up, basically. They're not like any like official business thing or anything like that. So I've just plucked them out of my head, of the types of people, I suppose, that I see when they come to me, either on a one-to-one or in Business Brilliance. And I want you to kind of see if you can see any of yourself right now in any of them, right? Or who you can relate to kind of the most, maybe. So firstly, we have the ineffective business owner, right? And when I think of an ineffective business owner, I'm kind of thinking of maybe poor organization or time management. They lack clarity around what to do, like when they are working. They might feel like they procrastinate a little bit, or they feel a little bit anxious. They're quite reactive to things. So like they do things as they come up. There's no kind of like plan, or like, oh, I'll park that now for a second, I'm just going to finish this task because like this is highly valuable, or like there's this deadline. But they react to everything, like they get a message or they get an email, it's just all like the next thing and the next thing. Their business and their life is running them as opposed to the other way around. And there's a kind of a feeling of guilt or fear that they're not getting done what they would like to get done, or that they know they have to get done in order to run a good business, or in order to make a little bit of progress, right? And I suppose overall the whole thing is like there's a lack of sense of achievement, I suppose, where there's no given day where you're like, oh, I nailed that day, or I've ticked off all my to-do list, or I'm exactly on track, which can be a hard place to be in, right? So I suppose that's the first kind of version of a business owner, right? And again, you might have days where you're like totally hurt, but then the next day you could be absolutely flying, but yeah, there's some kind of features of an ineffective business owner. The next one is the burnout business owner. Okay, so think about someone who's kind of the opposite, like they're constantly working, they've no work-life balance, they're always working or even always thinking about work. They're quite fear-driven, like they're afraid they're going to lose it all, so they're constantly working, or I suppose they don't feel safe to take a break or to kind of step away from their business. They've poor boundaries with work, and as a result, maybe there are personal life struggles, maybe, at home or not getting to spend time with like loved ones, or if they do, they maybe aren't fully present, when they're with their loved ones or at home. They don't look after themselves properly. Maybe they're actually successful, like, but they're not really enjoying it. They're not fully embodying their success, because there's always this underpinning of like, I'm going to lose it all, or the self-worth thing of like, oh, I need to do more, it's not good enough, that kind of a thing. And like, I would have clients who are extremely successful by the looks of things with their revenue and their business, and from the outside, like, people would think they have made it, but like inside they feel like they're going to lose it all, or that they're not working hard enough, or that they're not doing enough. So like that's a really common feature. They're doing everything themselves in their business. They're poor at delegating. They don't have any help, and maybe they're a little bit addicted to the hustle, right? They're a little bit kind of like, they don't celebrate or acknowledge their achievements or their wins, and it's always like the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. So that's a kind of a different version of a business owner, right? Or how people might kind of show up or feel, right, in their businesses. So that's another type. And then I suppose we have the balanced business owner, right? The insta chick business owner, right? Who seems to have it all figured out, and maybe they do actually genuinely, but they actually do have a good business, but they have clarity as to what their business is about and where they're going, right? Even if they haven't made it yet, they're kind of on track. They can distinguish between like what is effective work and kind of what's making them a busy fool, right? So they're quite self-aware, I suppose, in their business. They have that sense of achievement or accomplishment at the end of their day, where they're like, okay, tick, 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 I'm on track. I can go to bed with like, put my head on the pillow and, have a bit of peace of mind, or, have a good night's sleep. They're ambitious, but maybe they don't let it kind of like totally take over their lives or whatever. Like they have, priorities around home or, their well-being, and they have good boundaries. Like that's some of the best business owners that I know have time for them, right? So they really protect themselves as the main thing in the business. And then they also work hard, right? So they work hard, they get it done, but then they have free time where they can go and enjoy themselves, and they have that little bit of a balance. They're solution based, right? So they see what needs doing in their business, or they see, an opportunity, or they see what clients needs, whatever, and they just, can implement it quite quickly, right? So they're solution based. And they value, I suppose, their relationships, personal experience, and it's not all work or money or status, whatever. They seem to kind of have a good balance of both, right? So hence the balanced business owner, right, of having that balance. So we've kind of gone through maybe different examples there of the different kinds of business owners, and now there's probably a blend of them. There's probably different ones. There's probably X, Y, and Z. But I just want you to reflect on maybe, the ones I've highlighted here: the ineffective business owner, the burnout business owner, and then the balanced business owner. And I want you to think, and maybe you can feel free to pop it into the chat. Which one are you relating to most right now, do you feel? So you can have a little think, and maybe if you want to share it into the chat, and it'll give us a good idea as to where everybody is right now. Welcome, Inler. We're just going through a few different avatars of business owners there, and just kind of getting everyone to identify where they're at, I suppose, at their business, and how they're feeling right now in their work.
Fantastic. Has it just started, or have I missed it? Was it 6:30 after all?
6:30, yeah.
Oh, flip it. I thought it was 7 after we had discussed it.
No, you're all good. It was in the WhatsApp chat, 6:30.
Oh, flip it. Have I missed
You're
one?
okay. No. We just did some introductions, and
Okay.
we've gone through this, so we can get you to do your introduction at the end there, so you'll be all good. Okay, so feel free to pop into the chat. There's someone after popping in. Okay, so burnt out a little bit. Yeah, no worries. I'm the balanced avatar. Great. Probably lucky I'm on a small scale, but want to be able to transfer it as I grow. Yeah, fantastic. And that's the thing. Sometimes people are afraid to grow and scale because of like what it might bring with it. They're like, look, I have my life like in a pretty sweet spot right now. And I know I would have definitely felt that way, where success or kind of growth meant like, oh fuck, more stress, more problems, more headaches. And it can like turn you off of wanting to grow your business, So Ellen said, I'm currently a mix of ineffective in who I target and messaging, etc., and balanced in how I do things. Brilliant. Ineffective, also struggle to switch off, but not at the burnout phase. Okay. And Eleanor said, ineffective, just starting business and need to grow and getting the right clients. Okay, fantastic. Brilliant. Thanks for sharing, everyone. So yeah, we're rather a little bit of a mix, a little bit of a blend right now. Okay, so we're going to look at time and energy management. Okay, so I suppose that's a really, really important, skill to have, right, in business. And it helps you get, I suppose, a lot of things well done, but also it helps you like free up your time and to enjoy your business and to enjoy, you know, your downtime and everything. So if we're looking at this, I have a few tips, right? A few kind of, I suppose, areas of attention to look at. And the first one here, from my own experience, is number one is to don't measure your time worked in your business, measure the output instead. Okay, so this whole idea of, you know, oh God, I'm working so hard, like I'm working, you know, 9 o'clock in the morning till 7 o'clock at night, and God, I've done a full day, but then you look back and you're like, what did I actually do? What did I actually do today? Or like, have I actually moved anything forward in my business? Or was it like effective work, right? So that's the first thing to start with. Measure the output, right? So if you just worked 3 hours in the morning and you had a really productive 3 hours and you said, okay, I've done this 4, 5 things that I said I wanted to do and I've bashed it out. Okay, I've literally my day's work done. You know, I've done everything that I needed to do today. I'm going to close the laptop and I'm going to go to the beach, or I'm going to go for a run, or I'm going to go, you know, to do a bit of retail therapy, or whatever you like doing and like kind of restores your energy. I'm going to go and do that, even if it's 2 o'clock in the day, right? Even if it's like whatever. So people get caught up about this, like, oh, I'm running a business, I have to be at my desk from 9 to 5, or like, you know, I have to, you know, they measure the time, but like they're not being very effective. But if you were to manage the output, which is the thing that actually matters in a business, like, you know, what are you actually getting done or what's actually moving you forward? Doesn't matter what time you're working. Doesn't matter if you start at 10, at, you know, 1, you know, 2, whatever. But as long as you're getting the work done, well, then you're totally good. You're totally safe, and you're totally on track. And having that peace of mind and that flexibility is worth its weight in gold, because that's really when people begin to benefit from being their own boss and having that flexibility of meeting their friend for a coffee or whatever in the middle of the day, you know, without the guilt or the stress of like not getting their stuff done, right? So yeah, swapping from that thing of like, okay, like I'm on the clock, or, you know, I have to do 8 hours or 9 hours every day. But like if you're on your phone, or if you're distracted, or if you're not focused, doesn't matter how many hours you've worked that day, if the output isn't there, well then, you know, it doesn't really matter. Whereas, as I said, if you said, okay, I finished my task for today, I'm going to go home and close my laptop and spend time at home with my family, or doing something that I love, or looking after myself. Okay, so that's like a different way of working for many people, and they find it like really unusual and really unsafe in their nervous system or in their own mind. That guilt thing kind of creeps in, but it's a big game changer as to how you work, I suppose. And we'll talk more about that actually later on as well. Okay, so that's what I was saying there. I've spent 8 hours on working on my business today, but has your output actually reflected this? And like that gives you some sort of a sense of accomplishment and completion as well in your work, right? When you've ticked off your output and you're like, okay, I feel like I have done a good day's work here. And it stops you from overworking and getting yourself burnt out. Because there will always, always, always be more stuff to do in a business. It never ends. Like I've been in business for like 7 and a bit years, and there's actually still more to be done. It actually never stops, right? Because you're always changing things or doing things or growing or whatever. So you can get into the spiral of being burnt out and constantly working, but like you have to have the discipline and being like, there will always be something to do. It'll have to wait, right? I'll have to close the laptop and look after myself or whatever. So the output helps with that. Okay, the second idea is Parkinson's law. And you might have heard about this, but basically Parkinson's law is this whole theory or idea that work expands to fill the time available for its completion, right? So you take longer than necessary to complete a task, or you procrastinate and complete the task right before the due date anyway, right? So we've all had this situation where we've had a deadline for like college or you know, something like that, and we're like, oh, it's grand, it's 3 weeks away, it's fine, we've loads of time, right? And maybe you kind of tip away at it a little bit, or you're like, ah, it's grand, and you're kind of quite relaxed, and then next thing it's 2 days out and you're like, oh shit, I have to go quick here, like, you know, and you bang through the work and like you get loads done. You get a way more done in the 2 days than you had done in the whole previous 2.5 weeks. And that is because Parkinson's law, right? The more time available to do something, the longer it'll take. And actually the less focus that you have sometimes. So that's another reason to be output focused. Okay. So if you say, okay, I have all day to do this Instagram post and you know, this document that I need to work on for a client, like this client resource or something, and I've all day from like 9 to 5 to do it, and you probably fill the whole day on Canva or like doing whatever, and like you're fecking around, and then you put out the washing, and then you make a cup of tea, and then you come back, and then you're after doing something else, you're after getting distracted and all the rest. And then like you fill the whole day with doing those 2 tasks. Whereas if you're like, okay, I'm going to sit down, I'm at a coffee shop, and I'm going to give my focus, and I'm going to be output led, and I'm going to work until I have this done. And even if I get it done in 2 hours, I'm finished my day's work. Like that is it. This is what I have to do today, and I'm finished. Right? So with that focus, if you said, okay, I'm going to give myself 2 hours or 3 hours to do it, you'd probably be much more focused and much more committed to your work. And then you have the whole day to enjoy, basically, right? And you've done a fraction of the time, essentially. So any questions on that much so far? So the whole idea of being like output led, Parkinson's law, working smarter and not harder, and having this idea of, okay, what are the tasks that I'm going to do today? I'm going to have clarity. What do I need to do? Okay, I need to take these jobs off. And once I'm finished, I'm out the gap for a nice coffee or, you know, beach with the dog or whatever it is. And that's me done until tomorrow. Fantastic. I feel accomplished. I'm on track. Brilliant. No burnout.
Is that where like I hear people all the time talking about like time blocking and stuff, like time blocking tasks, and like I've never seen the point of it, but now it actually makes sense when you're explaining that now. Is that where the two would kind of connect?
Exactly. It's kind of like time blocking. Yeah. And I'm going to take you through this focus and flow time now, Mary, where it's basically, as you said, it's like setting an intention just for the times of your day where you say, okay, I'm going to work on this. Like, you know, 1 block is for work, or like 1 block's for personal, or 1 block's for whatever. And maybe you do actually split it up. Like I remember before I used to do like a block in the morning when my concentration and my energy was there. And then I'd come like to a part of the day and I'd be like, okay, I'm starting to wane now a little bit. I'll go off and, you know, train or go for a run or do something personal to kind of reinstate my energy and clear my head a bit. And then I'd come back and do another block, and I'd be working better. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, cool.
So
Thank
yeah,
you.
exactly. Yeah, it's that whole principle. Okay, perfect. So second piece is this whole idea of focus and flow time, which is kind of like the time blocking thing that we're talking about here. So I want you to think of like, you know, parts of your day where you have focus time and parts of your day where you have flow time. And I'll kind of explain what is involved in each. But the focus time is basically your main priority tasks. So things that will move the business forward or that need focus and concentration. And they typically tend to be a little bit harder for us to complete. And when I say harder to complete, there may be a little bit of like the comfort zone piece where it's a hard thing to do, or it's you know, a thing that's kind of outside of our norm, like our normal kind of stuff that we bang through and we're well used to doing, or you know, it's a little bit, yeah, it's just a little bit uncomfortable. Maybe it's new, right? But it's stuff that really does require focus and attention. And these tasks are to be done first thing in your workday when you have the brain capacity to do so, right? And like I'll give you an analogy, right? About, we'll just say, imagine your time and your focus and your headspace are a jar of jelly babies, right? Big jar of jelly babies, full to the brim, and you start off with a full jar of belly jellies, jelly babies in the morning, right? And every interaction that you have with anyone, someone at home, a client, you open up an email, you chat to someone on WhatsApp, you go on a Zoom, you know, you do whatever, more emails. every single time it's like someone putting their little hand into the jar of jelly babies and grabbing a fist out. And that's gone, right? That's your time and your energy. And with every person that you chat to, or every email that you answer, every question, whatever, that's them taking your focus and your headspace and your concentration, because you only have a certain amount of bandwidth every day. And when you sit into doing something like that requires concentration, we'll just say you're writing a document, a new resource, or you're creating a new design, Mary, or something like that, right, for yourself. And you sit down at 3 o'clock and you're like, right, I need to do this thing. But you're at like a fraction of your creativity, your brain capacity, your concentration, like you're tired, right? You've a million conversations and a million things going on in your head from that day, and the jelly babies are gone, or there's a tiny fraction of them left, which isn't really great to work with, right? So the whole idea of like, I don't know if you've ever read that book, Eat That Frog, right? Of like, eat the frog, eat the frog, the hardest thing in the day, doing it first thing in the day. And I got into the habit before in my business of blocking in time in the mornings to do the things that I really needed to do to move my business forward in the morning when I had most energy and concentration or headspace. And then I would do like my client calls, or, you know, go on Instagram or reply to stuff, because I knew that I wouldn't have the concentration to do the hard stuff. Come 2 or 3 o'clock in the day, I'd be like, oh, my day's over. It's grand. I'll do it tomorrow. And then it would never get done, right? So that's your focus time. So I want you to think in your business, what are some of the things that you have been putting off, but you know will make a difference, or you actually do find tricky from like a concentration perspective or from a creativity perspective, that need to be in this category, that need to be in this focus time, where you switch your phone off or you have it on flight mode or whatever. You're in an environment that allows you to concentrate without any distraction, and you do really, really good quality work. Have a little think, like, what is that for you? And feel free to pop it into the chat there as well and give it a share. Like, for example, this morning I was writing some copy for my website, and I blocked off like 9 to 12, like I'm going to do nothing else, only copying the website. It took me ages. Like, it was so hard for me to do. Like, I just found it really hard. But I knew that like I had a better chance of doing it in the morning, because if I was after a full day of client calls and a full day of conversations and a full day of like, oh, I must get back to that message, I must get back to this email, and all that was going around in my head, I definitely wouldn't even have looked at it, not to mind doing a good job on it, right? So if there's anything in your business, I'll have a look in the chat here, that you feel that falls into this focus time, you can pop it in there, and we'll just get an idea as to what that looks like for you. So new design work, yeah, perfect. Is that when your creativity is best, Mary, that you need a bit of a clear head and stuff? Yeah, yeah. I train a group of kids every Monday and I leave it until Sunday evening to do. Okay, yeah. Anything that is new for my business, like content, proposals, etc. Anything, yeah, takes me ages because of perfectionist tendencies. Okay, yeah, totally. So maybe if you gave yourself, okay, like for you, Ellen, I need to do this between 9 and 11. And like, that's my window. And after that, like, you know, done is better than perfect, because perfect never happens, right? It just like goes on and on and on. And I think that is for me, not my clients. Yeah, totally. Because we all have to show up for client delivery, right? We all have to like do the stuff for them. But when it comes to working on the business, then you're like kicking a can down the road, right? It's very easily done. So brilliant. Yeah, fantastic. Okay, so you get the picture, right? Updating my website content, business visibility, refining my offerings and creating more offerings, getting clients. Yeah. And like all those things are basically the things that move us forward, right? So if we're not doing them, then we're kind of in a kind of a danger zone, right? So I want you to map out a time. Either you can do it in 2 different ways. You can do like a focus day. I know people who are not client facing on like a Monday and they have a focus day, and then they have like other things. Or you could have a focus block, as Mary was saying. So, you know, a focus block in your day where you have focus And then there's like a flow block, which we'll talk about in a second. So you can either have days or parts of your day that you implement this into. Right? Okay, brilliant. So we're all there. Okay, fantastic. Right, flow time is another type of block then, right? So your flow time are for like lesser priority tasks, or maybe like nicer tasks, right? And when I say nicer, like they're easy, we kind of bang through them, we kind of like doing them. Less concentration needed. You can kind of do them when you're multitasking, or it's very easy for you. It doesn't take much concentration or output. Things you're proficient at and things you feel confident at, that you're like, oh yeah, I'll bang through that and that'll be fine. I'll get that done in 2 minutes. And it doesn't take the same level of concentration or kind of courage sometimes to sit down and do, right? And these are to be done after the focus tasks are done, right? So say you've done your focus tasks, you've gone for lunch, and then you come back and that around like 2, 3, 4 o'clock where you're like kind of half in, half out, but like you just have enough energy and enough kind of concentration to be able to bash through a few things. And even if you're in the car or if you're on the move, or you're sitting out taking in the sun or whatever, like they can get done quite easily. You just tick the box. They're your flow ones. Okay, so again, you can have a flow day. Like my Fridays used to be flow day before, where I did all the hard work Monday to Thursday, and Fridays were like tying up odd loose ends, just doing kind of light work, the nice stuff, the flow stuff. Or you might decide, okay, I'm going to do like a flow block where I tie up odds and ends between like 3 and 5 in my business, and like it's very easy for me to do, or whatever. So again, think of those kind of tasks for yourself. Like, what are my flow time tasks? The things that are like, they're grand. I can bash through them, bish, bash, bash. I am proficient, I'm confident. They're easy for me to do, and I'll just like, tick them off. Okay, and I suppose the last one, which I haven't spoken about then, essentially is like free time as well, right? So focus, flow, but also free time. Having free time in your week where you can have space. Space to do whatever the heck you want with it, basically. If you choose to do more work, great. If you're feeling inspired, if you're feeling creative, if you're in a nice flow. Or if you're like, oh my God, that was a week from hell, I'm actually going to go and get a massage or a facial or go for a sea dip or like whatever it is to like rejuvenate you a little bit, or like you meet a friend for coffee or whatever, but like you just have some kind of spaciousness in your week, because there is nothing worse than looking at your calendar, and we all have weeks like that, and it's just stuff everywhere in it, and you're like, oh no, this week is going to be like bloody Armageddon. Like, if I get through this, like I can't wait for Friday already, and it's Monday morning. That's no good, because it's overwhelming and it's exhausting, right? So having time blocked out, just free time in your calendar, whether it be just a little block, a CEO morning, maybe on a Wednesday morning or something between 9 and 11, that it's free, no clients can book into it. It doesn't belong to focus or flow, but it's free and it's there. Like, if you do need to do something for work, but also if you want to do something personal, like running errands, or, get into the bank midweek, or, whatever it is, having a little bit of free time in your week. So sitting down and intentionally going through, okay, what is my week going to look like this week? Where are my focus blocks? Where are my flow blocks? And what's my free time, or what's my buffer? So you might decide to say, okay, my blocks in the morning are for focus, my ones in the afternoon are for flow, and maybe that's the way you do them. Or maybe you do them by the days, like Monday, Wednesday are my focus days. That's when I am not going to like, leave, for a coffee or meet a friend, and next thing it like, takes over my day when I should have done something. Or, I'm not going to allow a client book into my calendar or whatever. Like, they're for Tuesdays and Thursdays, they're flow day stuff, right? And maybe you decide to say, okay, Friday is my little buffer patch where I can like catch up on anything that didn't get done or whatever, but that you're not scheduling your calendar to an inch of its life, which makes us feel busy and makes us feel productive. We're like, oh yeah, we're working so hard in our business, like there's so much happening, but like there's not enough spaciousness there to allow for stuff happening or whatever. Okay,
Ashley,
So
can I just
yes,
ask a question? With the flow tasks, like I'm not entirely sure, like with the focus on the important stuff, the growing the business, bring it forward, the flowy stuff then, could you just give a few examples of what flow tasks would be? Because I just
yeah,
don't really feel clear on that.
yeah, totally. So anything that's kind of like not significant enough to move the business forward, but like needs to get done. Like we'll just say responding to emails or like client WhatsApps or doing client check-ins or like something like that where for yourself it could be Natasha, it could be we'll just say like spending time on Instagram, right? Where you're building like it's not like a big piece of work, but like it needs to be done equally, right?
Yeah.
And what happens sometimes is people start with flow tasks in the morning, right? They open up their laptop and they go into their emails or they start messaging clients or whatever. And next thing, 3 hours have passed, the best 3 hours of the day, and they're like, oh shit, like I was supposed to be um writing for my website today, and now it's 2 o'clock, and now I'm kind of wrecked and I'm half drained from having all these conversations, and I really don't want to write my website. Okay, I'm gonna have to do that another day, and next thing 2 weeks passes. Um, so does that give you an idea of the kind of flow stuff?
Yeah, it does. Thanks so much. Yeah, I was just a bit confused, but yeah, that's much better. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Basically anything that doesn't require like focus, like a big focus, or like is really going to move your business forward, that kind of a way.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay. So what do we have next here? Okay, so I suppose number 3 is this is all good in theory, but like identifying focus and flow tasks, right? Super important in your business. So like what are the things that are actually going to move your business forward, right? Because you're showing up maybe and you are putting in the work, but like maybe you're not seeing the results from it, whatever. But like, what are the focus ones? What are maybe the money making tasks or client generation tasks or whatever? And what are the flow ones? So that you're not spending all your time on flow tasks and like, yeah, it's good to be busy and it makes us feel like productive, whatever, but like they're actually not doing anything purposeful, right? So I have a good kind of frame for you here, and typically it helps you identify flow tasks. So, what is the one thing I can do today to make everything else easier or unnecessary? Right? The one thing I can do today to make everything else easier or unnecessary. Easier on myself or like unnecessary that I keep having to do all the time, right? So, take for example, if you were always describing to potential clients what you do, right? So you've had a client inquiry, right? And every time you find yourself on a voice note being like, this is what I do, and then or typing it out all the time, right? Or you're just a repetitive tasks. And you said, okay, well, for a focused task, what is the one thing I could do today to make that easier or unnecessary? Okay, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to create a document or I'm going to create a video of me once and for all sitting down, telling people what I do, and it sums it up. And I'm going to spend 5 minutes recording that or writing that or whatever, and I'll never have to bloody do it again in live time and do it again and again and again and again. So, like, kind of like a system, right? That is a good example of a focus task, which is not in your everyday work, which kind of does take a bit of think time and a bit of concentration and a bit of output, but it makes that explaining and going over it again and sending it in basically easier or unnecessary. I'll give you another example of something like this. We'll say you're onboarding, right? We'll just say if you have clients. Every time a new client joins, you have to send them an email, you have to send them a Google Drive link, you have to give them access to the WhatsApp group, and you have to do this, this, and this, and this. And every single time a client joins, this has to happen. And if you said the question, okay, what is one thing that I could do today to make everything else easier or unnecessary? Okay, that could be sitting down and having an automated system or a generic system where I can just send one link, like I have done with you with the onboarding thing. That's like one thing. There's a recorded video on Loom. The contract is in there. The links to everything that you need are in there. And I did not have to send that to you individually in an email 6 times, right? Because it's thousands, tens upon thousands of times over my career. That's a lot of time. So the one thing that I did that day, which made that easier or unnecessary, was I sat down and said, okay, as a focus task, I'm going to create an onboarding process that will do anyone that ever joins Business Brilliance. And I just edit it going forward, right? That's another example. So you get the idea. So I'm going to get you to think now in your own businesses as like an example of a focus task. What is one thing that you could do in your business to make everything else easier or unnecessary? Have a little think.
Ashley, may I ask you a question there?
Yeah, go for it, Enner.
I love your last suggestion about making it easier to onboard new clients. And is this something that anybody can do in relation to making the recording and having a generic and automated link? Or do you need specific programs and you need to pay for a package and things, or
No,
be
you can
covering
do it.
that?
Yeah, no, you can do it any which way at all, right? I'm a big fan of keeping your business nice and lean, like not to be paying for big overheads or subscriptions or anything fancy, right? As long as it does the business, it's perfect. So we'll just say, Eleanor, if you had new clients coming in and you found yourself saying the same thing, like what is coaching, about their sessions or, explaining things, you could like record maybe a video of all that and doing it once, or maybe putting together like a document, and you could store it in a Google Drive. And instead of having to say that every single time you onboard a client, you could just send them the Google Drive link and
Okay.
they work through it in their own time. And Google Drive is free. You can record on Loom, Loom, which is the stuff that I use. That's free. Where you can share your screen, or you can just chat on camera, or you could do it on a Zoom and record the Zoom and like share the link to them. So yeah, it's a really, really good way to kind of save your time and to kind of start systemizing things in your business from the get-go.
I love that idea because it kind of humanizes you as well. I think, it's nice for the person to see your face and to see you talking, and you can put more feeling into it than if somebody's reading a document. It kind of makes you a non-person. So I love that idea. Thank you.
Yeah, great. Yeah, no worries. And like you can do that for anything in your business. Like on a larger scale, right? If you said, okay, if you found yourself always struggling for leads, right? And if you said, okay, like what is the one thing that I could do today that would make me finding leads easier or like unnecessary, that I constantly have to be scrolling through Instagram and kind of starting up conversations, whatever. You could say, okay, well, if I had a website, or if I had people going to my website, or if I had an email list, okay, that would make Instagram easier on me or unnecessary actually anymore. I'm going to sit down and make a focused task out of fixing my website or having some kind of a lead magnet or something that people can opt into it, or can offer for free or whatever. I capture people's emails and it'll save me having to be on Instagram maybe all of the time if that is something that you're constantly spending time on or is draining your energy or whatever. So like, think of in your own business, you'll get these ones that come through. Ellen said an example of a current focus task for me is to update my packages to a more streamlined system. Yeah. And update and simplify my welcome guide. Perfect. Yeah. So you can just send it out to them and it's there and there's a bit of a kind of system in place and you're not doing it all the time. Updating my website content. Oh, that was before for Natasha's comment. Yeah. So yeah, ask yourself that question. It can be very, very effective. Like, what is the one thing I can do today to make everything else easier or unnecessary in my business? Right? It can kind of guide your focus tasks. Any other questions on those kind of like big rocks in the jar?
Excuse a really stupid question, but I don't know any business jargon. So would you clarify what's a lead?
a lead basically is anyone who could be a potential client, who's kind of paying interest in, like they could be a potential client. So we'll just say someone who fits the bill for an ideal coaching client for you, Eleanor. Or,
Okay,
you know,
cool.
someone who's like shown interest or interaction in what you do, or who's made an inquiry, basically.
Thanks a million.
Yeah, that's your leads, whatever. So we're all good with that? Yeah. Okay, perfect. Now, I'm going to show you this guy, Eisenhower. Was obviously some Mao lad long ago, right, that came up with this matrix, right? So the Eisenhower matrix, it's basically a square and a framework that helps you identify what some of your focus tasks could be, or like what you working smart looks like, right? So across the top, you've urgent and you've non-urgent, and then you have important and non-important. So naturally in the quadrant, some things fall into, okay, this is urgent and it's also important. And these are the tasks that you need to do. So they're tasks with deadlines or consequences if they don't get done. And that's like Ellen was saying, like, you know, she's great at doing the client delivery stuff, but like not so much for her own stuff, because there are consequences if they don't get done for clients. They're not going to be happy, you know, deadlines run over, you know, you're not going to get paid or whatever it is, bad reputation, the lot. So that falls into urgent and important, right? You also have things that are important, but they're not urgent though. And they're ones that you can schedule in, right? So they're tasks with unclear deadlines, like, you know, the websites or the welcome pack and all that kind of stuff that's not urgent, but like it is important, but the deadline can be kind of moved or it can be decided by you, and it will contribute to like your long-term success, right? So that needs to be scheduled then. Then you have stuff that is urgent, but actually not that important that you would do it, right? So it needs to be done, but for you, it's not that important that you, and maybe you could delegate that, right? So tasks that must get done, but don't require your specific skill set. So for an example, you might decide, okay, this task is urgent, like I need to get this done, but it's not important for me that I do it. Like it's not a coaching session that I have to show up to, or it's not an event that I have to show up to, or it's not a design that I have to create. It's actually a thing that can be done by like a virtual assistant or my mother or my friend or whoever I decide to pull into my business and give them a few bob to do, and they can take it off my hands, right? Or branding, or you know, stuff that someone else would probably do like much faster than you because they're a lot more skilled and they have a lot more resources to do it, and it might take you double the time, but that's not like your forte, right? So Ellen, in your business, that's the perfect example. Someone could be like a really good, we'll just say Mary decides that, well, Mary's good at drawing as well, so that doesn't really apply, but we'll just say Mary was shit at branding, right? Or she was really uncreative, whatever. And Mary needed to focus on making garments. And if Mary decided to do her own branding, like it would take her maybe a long time, or she wasn't good on Canva or whatever, and it would take hours and hours and hours. But she could delegate that to Ellen, who's like super fast at it, has all the systems, does it at the back of her hand, and will take her half the time. And Mary can pay Ellen to do that in half the time, but Mary actually brings in cash from the stuff she is good at, because that's her skill set and that's her high value thing, and that's her money making task. So she can make money and she can use a little bit of that to pay Ellen to do the branding, right? That's essentially like the urgent and the not important. And then finally, you have the not urgent and the not important, but for some reason, we've written it into the fecking list because we love writing lists and we love feeling busy and, you know, whatever, we're a devil for putting ourselves under pressure. That is a big fat delete. Delete, delete, cross it off. It's a distraction. It's unnecessary. It can wait. Or it can actually be just sodded off altogether. And you would be surprised the amount of stuff that actually, if you sit down and categorize, okay, that's not really urgent, it's not really important, and you can actually delete it because it focuses your task again back on the to-do one, right? Because again, we like doing shit that's easy and is fun and is nice to do, but it's not going to move the business forward, right? So if we say, actually, do you know what? Me rewriting my bio or something like that, right? That'll take me ages. It's actually not urgent and it's actually not bloody important. No one reads my fucking bio. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to get stuck in for that for like the next hour, but I am actually going to go and do the website, which is urgent and is important, because that'll get me leads and that'll give me business, or that'll grow my email list or whatever. So it's constantly focusing your mind and focusing your attention back to the stuff that is important and is going to make a difference, and not the shiny object syndrome that we can all get caught up on. Okay, so you can print this. I have it in the slides, like all these slides will be up, so you can print this off and have it on your desk if you want. And it's a good practice to go through any kind of work tasks that you're doing that week, or like stuff that keeps coming up again and again, and labeling the ones that are in the urgent and important, the not urgent but important, which you can schedule in, the urgent and maybe not important, like if you did have the few bob, to be able to delegate it to someone so you can focus on, you know, what you're good at and kind of your delivery and, you know, whatever. And then the delete ones as well. And you can actually use that for anything. You can use it in your personal life, like your shopping, your whatever else that has to get done, right? So that is the Eisenhower matrix. So are there any questions on that framework or any feedback on it? Like, do you think it'll be helpful, or do you want to run past any kind of examples of your business or your industry that you might be not undecided about?
Would the delegate one, I'm just thinking because I don't have any money to pay anyone to do any tasks. So I feel like I'm very much doing everything by myself. So I feel for me, okay, I know I always have those scatty tasks that are probably distractions, but I feel like I'd be very much jumping up in the important, urgent, not urgent. Can that be a thing as well, where you're kind of in the top half of the square quite a bit?
Yeah, totally. Like, when you're starting off, Natasha, most business owners tend to be time rich and money poor, right? I was that way for a very long time, and I did my own website on Wix, and it took me forever, but like I had a bit of time in my hands. I didn't have many clients at the time, and I was money poor, so I was like, I'll just do it myself, right? But if you are in that square and you are doing a lot of things in yourself, like, you know, you can do, say, we'll just say like Canva or other bits and pieces, put it into your flow time, maybe, you know. Now it might be a thing that's actually quite important, like it needs to be done. And it is urgent and it is important, so it's kind of in your do list. But if it's not that important, I would leave it to the time of day where it doesn't need your concentration. Like, give the important things the best bit of your concentration and your jelly babies and your time and your focus at the start of the day, and the not important stuff the latter half of your day, where you're kind of like not 100%, but you can kind of bash through things, you know.
Yeah.
Anything else on that one? No? All good? Yeah? Okay, brilliant. Let's see what's next. Okay, this is one of the final ones because I know we're going through an awful lot here, but it's an awful lot for the first night. Anyway, the 80-20 principle. The 80-20 principle is basically 80 results of your business come from 20% of your actions. Now, what do I mean by that? So we'll just say, if results in your business is like making money, right? Finding clients, making money. If you looked at your whole week of all of the things that you do in your week, right? We'll say you do 20 different tasks across your whole week. And if your results in your business was like finding clients, making money, making sales essentially, if you looked at like the 20 different tasks that you did in your week how many of those tasks would actually be finding clients, making money, like making sales? Like maybe 3 or 4 of them, of those activities, right? Which is like the 20% of your actions, right? So, for example, we'll say you spend a lot of time dolling up, we'll say you have a platform. We'll say for you, Diane, you have Trainerize or something like that, right? And you're like, I'm going to go away now, and one of the actions that I do every week is like I format, or I like put nice little images or graphics or labels, whatever, on the different sections of my Trainerize, and I categorize them into lovely folders. And you make your food plan look a bit nicer on Canva, and like you're doing all these kind of actions in your business, but that doesn't directly contribute to finding clients and making money, right? So we'll just say you do all those different tasks, but like only a very small percentage of what you did that week actually led to finding clients and making money, right? So the whole idea is basically that 80-20 principle means only a small bit of the things that you do in your week actually reaps you results. And the key is to identify what those things are and to double down and prioritize them, right? I'll give you a real life example in my own business. If you've been following me for a while, I used to always do a thing called coffee chats in the morning, right? I'd come on 11 o'clock and I would teach, or I'd give value, or I'd like give my time basically to people on my Instagram stories, and I'd interact with my followers, and I'd give value and help people out with some solutions around common challenges that they might have been having. That was the perfect example of a really, really valuable task that like gained, I suppose, people's trust, and they saw that I knew my shit, and they saw that I had solutions to the stuff that they needed, and it got me leads. People booked in for discovery calls, and it made me money, right? It made me sales, it found me clients. That was the perfect example of a task that was in that 20%, right? It shifted things massively in my business. Whereas, we'll say, busying myself with like chronologically ordering all the workshops inside in the podcast or the platform that I had done over the few years, whatever, which was also another one of my tasks that I used to do in the week, was part of the other 80%, but it didn't give me results though. Like it didn't get me leads, didn't make me money, it didn't grow my business. It made the podcast look a bit nicer, right? But it didn't actually shift anything in my business. Do you get the idea? So for you, it's like identifying, and if you don't know what that 20% is, if you don't know what those key actions are in your business just yet, that's okay. And you can figure it out. You can play around with it, right? You can like trial and error it, but it's about figuring out what works. What has worked in the past? What has gotten me clients in the past, or what designs have worked best, or whatever your goal is in your business. We'll just say in your business, one of the results that you're wanting to see was like you wanted to be known, or you wanted to have a little bit more people having awareness around what you did. We'll just say, Natasha, for you want to become as like known as the breathwork person, right, to go to. So if that was like a desired result in your business, okay, what are the things that are going to put me out there as the person to go to for this, and people know me, and people have an awareness as to who I am, what I do, and what action matches up with that? It's not organizing my desk at home, or it's not like, tidying my folders on my laptop. No. It's like, organizing a free workshop for people to come along to so that they can hear me speak. Or, adding 10 new accounts on my Instagram every day, and they follow me back, and more people know I exist now. Or jumping on my stories and sharing something valuable so that people know I'm a valuable asset to them, potentially. That kind of thing. So if I was to ask each of you on the call, do you know any particular actions in your business that you do that reap the rewards, or that kind of, are a key part of keeping your business afloat, or, you know, whatever result I suppose you're looking for, like making money or growing your client numbers or whatever it is. So maybe pop in your desired result and any action that helps with that. Or simply unmute, have a chat, I don't care.
Ashing, I understand the concept, but in relation to my own business, I'm a bit unsure as
Okay,
how I can relate it to it.
great. Okay, no problem. If I was to ask you, Mary, what is one desired result that you would love in your business right now?
Um, to pay the bills.
Okay, perfect. And
Yeah.
what do you need to do to pay the bills? Like, what do
Mm,
you need to make?
um, more sales of my prints is an easy one because I have them as a product ready to go.
Okay,
Yeah,
let's take that one. Perfect.
yeah.
So the result is to make more sales, and the
Hmm.
action is to sell prints, sell more prints. What
Hmm.
helps you sell more prints?
Advertising on Instagram.
Perfect. The advertising on Instagram is your key action, is like the 20%.
Okay.
So that's the perfect example. So you spend more time
Mm.
advertising them on Instagram, which means you make more sales, which means you make your money.
Mhm.
So that's the perfect example. Now, if you looked at your whole week, now this is just a theory that they say, like,
Mm.
so if you looked at your whole week of everything that you did, you might spend 20% of your time advertising your prints on Instagram,
Mm.
and you
Mm.
might spend like 80% on loads of other things that
Mm.
don't contribute to selling prints.
Mhm.
Do you get
Yeah.
it?
Yeah. I get it in that sense. Yeah. Yeah.
We'll take another example, right? Is there any other desired result that you would like to see in your business?
Um, I would like to have my I'm designing headscarves, or I want to, it's on the list. But I haven't done it. So that's probably something that should be in the 20%.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
designing the headscarf will move your business forward, right? So you
Mm.
have to say, okay, what action will help
Mm.
me design this headscarf? Okay,
Mm.
it's probably putting time aside in the week to sit down and have a designing block and a focus block on designing
Mhm.
the headscarf, not like responding to Instagram messages or
Mm.
responding to emails or whatever else that happens in your week.
Okay. Yeah. So it's kind of like a filtering of tasks,
Exactly.
of kind of like figuring out, okay, is this task furthering the business? Or,
Yeah.
yeah, no, I get it, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Exactly.
Thank you.
Filtering. It's like saying, it's basically like, if you said, okay, I need to make money here in my business, ask yourself, what are money making tasks? Like for you, what are money making tasks in your business? Is it, like Mary said there, selling prints for her? Ellen, for you, it could be putting your work out there on, like, keeping your Instagram or your portfolio up to date so people can see your newest work, which might trigger them to put an inquiry in. In Natasha, for you, it could be like giving value on your stories and educating people around. I know she's not there now, but it could be like putting stuff out there to show people that you're really knowledgeable in your space so that they would think of you if they needed help with that. So like think of in your business, like, what is my desired outcome and what is my action that's going to help me do that? And prioritize that, double down on that. So, and then everything else can wait. Put the blinkers on because it's the shiny object syndrome that takes up loads of our time, right? That's like the 80% that we tend to gravitate to, but we're like, oh, no, 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 come back, come back. Focus on the 20% of stuff that does move the business forward and that, will make us money or, whatever. And like that takes discipline, right? You have a whole load of emails there, or you have a whole load of things that you would love to do first thing in the morning, but it's super hard to sit down and design a headscarf because it takes creativity. You have self-doubt creeping in. You mightn't have a whole lot of the answers and you have to go and research stuff, or you have to go and look at material or whatever, like that's hard work. So much easier to respond to your accountant and, you know, send them an email and be like, oh yeah, I've been working, right? But you can do that at 3 o'clock, or you can do it at 4 o'clock, or actually you can wait till next week, because the headscarf is the priority here. That's the money maker, or selling the prints is the money maker. Everything else needs to be parked until you do have time where you've made the money, right? Whichever comes first. So are we happy enough with that? Yeah.
Can I
Cool.
just ask one more question? Sorry, and I think it
Yes.
would be a silly one, but just clarifying with the flow task, because I do a lot of reading, study, and research, putting together, like there's just so much to breathwork and how it helps people. It's a minefield. And I find I'm constantly always reading and studying and putting things together. I feel like I'm back in school, you know? Is that kind of more flow tasky?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Exactly. So right now in your business, Natasha, you want to find clients, you want to sell workshops, and you want to make money. That's the priority in your business right now.
Yeah.
And you know enough to do that.
Mm.
So the reading and the further education and the whatever, that will, like, I don't want to say should, right, be done, because I don't like the word should, but like I'd be saying I'd be parking that stuff until you have your workshops full and you have money coming in. And then if you have free time or whatever, like it's lovely to learn and develop, but like all the amount of learning in the world is no good if you've no one to use it on, you know?
Yeah, I think for me, just because like I suppose I'm a year trained nearly in the Oxygen Advantage, and it is just so vast. So I see that I'm kind of still learning as I'm going along. Like I feel like when I'm jumping into the books, it's helping me create that content so I can put the workshop out there. And without it, it's like I don't have anything. It's like, do you know, when you're just kind of still getting into that, you know, I know the basics, but as I said, there's just so much. And I know I need to break it down as well for myself, because I can get very overwhelmed with everything. Like, but yeah, for me, I find that if that is a bit of a flow tasky thing, I think it'll be quite important if that's kind of all right-ish.
Yeah. And like, put it this way, right? If you probably know and have everything that you need to be able to help someone right now, or to deliver like an incredible breathwork session. Or, you know, people tend to be on their journey where they need a certain amount, but you know, you don't need to be loads and loads and loads ahead of them, because actually maybe that's slightly out of their reach, or maybe they don't need that highfalutin or like that super knowledge or whatever. Maybe your clients aren't at that stage yet. So, you know, you could think of it that way too, being like, look, I have the knowledge, I have everything that I need right now, but you know, I'm gonna make a conscious decision that I'm not going to spend loads of time on furthering my skills until I have, you know, clients and the money and a good foundation in my business. And then as my clients grow in experience and, you know, they're established and they've been with me for a while, and maybe I feel that they do need something extra or something a little bit more advanced, of course, go and do your study or look it up or whatever. But I think that's where people kind of get a little bit mixed up in, like, in running a business. In order to have your craft, or in order to be able to do what you love, like, you do need to make money and you do need to have clients, you know? Um, and that's like the essence, I suppose, of like starting off, you know. Eleanor, were you going to ask a question there?
I was just going to make a comment that actually I found that very interesting, that discussion, because I find I'm falling into the same trap of, you know, I see different coaching courses coming up and things, and I know actually I've nearly done so many trainings from different people that I'm nearly overwhelming myself. And I actually wrote down actually what you said. I now know when I have everything I need to, you know, to work as a coach, and I must stop kind of getting distracted, because I find when I sign up for something, I give it 150%, and I kind of go all at it, you know, and then there's a big overlap, and it just struck me that no matter what our areas are, we probably have similar shiny objects, as you call them, you know, kind of winking at us saying, oh, you'll be better if you do this course, or you'll know more if you read this book, or, you know, so yeah, I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, totally, Eleanor. Thank you. Yeah, great share. And it's natural, right? At the start of when you're owning your business, the self-doubt and the imposter syndrome is like rearing its head, right? And it's incessant. And we feel like, look, the more that we know or the more study that we do, whatever, like it's going to fill that gap. But in fact, it doesn't fully fill the gap, right? I'm going to give you a good grid actually, and we're not going to cover it tonight, but there's a thing, you might have seen it. It's the creator, the gambler, the dreamer, and there's another one, but like it has to do with action and knowledge. And the dreamer is always about you know, they're taking the knowledge bit, but they're not taking the action part. And they feel like they need all of the information and they need all of the certs and they need all of the qualifications, and then they'll be ready. Then they will magically be confident and they'll put themselves out there and they'll be irresistible to clients because they'll have every qualification and they'll know everything there is to do, know what their thing, and that'll be the moment that'll all happens. But like that never happens, right? But it's kind of like, again, it's a false sense of like, oh yeah, I'm doing everything that I possibly can for my business, right? But it's not the right kind of thing, I suppose. Diane, you had a really good share there. Do you want to just speak into that a little bit more there?
Yeah, it was probably just a bit of advice for Natasha, like, because I definitely have had and still get imposter syndrome, and I fell into that trap a while ago. I was signing up for all the courses and spending so much money, and someone said to me, they were like, you already know loads and you only really need to be one step ahead of your clients, and you're already loads of steps ahead of them anyway. Do you know? So I think I definitely self-impose the pressure on myself. And that voice comes up sometimes like, oh, you're not good enough and you need to do more and you need to know more. But like what you know can be enough a lot of the time.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, big time. Yeah. And you know what? Sometimes, I don't know if you find this, Diane, but like, we'll just say you probably know a way more than what you ever share with your clients or what you ever advise to your clients. And if you were to come on and be like super highfalutin and use all these terms and these very advanced like ways of thinking or teaching, it can actually cause a disconnect from your clients because they're like confused, or they're not at that same level, or they're not ready to hear it. They're not ready to be at that phase of like counting all their micros or macros, whatever, when they just need to like pack their lunch. Do you know what I mean? Like, so totally, yeah, it can actually be a bit of a disconnect sometimes. And Ellen had a good share there as well. Yeah, I agree with Diane. Also, Natasha, when I first started, I used to schedule in passion project time. Yeah, I love that. I use this to learn more, upskill, and nurture my creativity. I found these time blocks and projects really help me develop, but also with my confidence in what I do and how to sell it. Maybe you could try something similar for your research and read up time. Yeah, just a thought. Yeah, brilliant. And that's all like fantastic stuff that you can do. But once you have the main key actions in your business done, you know, remember, take the focus things off and anything else is a bonus then after that. You've permission to do whichever. And it's like teaching when they say like stay one, like Diane there, stay one chapter ahead of the students, like literally, you know, like that's all you need, right? So brilliant. Yeah, fantastic. So we're on to the very last bit, and that is your energy management. Okay. So it is absolutely essential to practice discernment as a business owner, especially with your time and energy. So discernment when it comes to how you use your time personally and also how you use it in your business, because it's finite, right? Remember the jar of jelly babies. They aren't going to last all the time, but they do get replenished every day, which is good, but they are finite, okay? So in regards to that, like if you are using, I suppose, an energy traffic light system, let's call it, right? When you're in the green, typically people tend to have good energy and they're looking after themselves. They're being discerning around what they give their time and their energy to with their work tasks and also with personal life, like the time that they give people, the people they decide to surround themselves with. Like if someone drains the life out of you or super negative or makes you kind of feel shit about yourself or makes you doubt yourself in your business, well then probably not the best use of your time and your focus, right? The discernment piece. Having people being discerning, like who makes me feel good, who adds to my energy and maybe that I leave feeling inspired by, or that I leave feeling a little bit more confident, or I have a little bit more self-belief after chatting to them, right? Discernment in your personal life, and then also in your work, which is what we've been speaking about, discerning around the time that you're spending on particular tasks, the things that are going to move things forward, right? And like typically if you said, okay, when I'm in good energy, I have, you know, good focus, I'm in good form, I get my tasks done, whatever. What do things look like when you're in the orange? Okay, I find it harder to wake up in the mornings. I find my energy begins to slip a little bit when I'm slipping into that orange traffic light. Maybe like there'll be certain telltale things that you'll notice about yourself, and that's a self-awareness piece. Maybe you say, oh, my environment actually gets messy. Like the house begins to go to shit a little bit. The bins are like, you know, absolutely starting to, like I keep pressing down the bin instead of just like fucking taking it out. Or like another one people say to me, and I do the same thing, is like there are loads of cups on my desk instead of like taking them up to the kitchen and washing them. You know, like you're just slipping a little bit, you know, or could be you start skipping out in your exercise, right? Slipping into the orange a little bit. Or you're starting to have poor boundaries with work again, you're overworking into like 7 or 8 o'clock in the evening, and you're doing shit work, like nothing's really happening, but it makes you feel like you're doing something, you know, like that kind of thing. And then when you're in the red, the whole idea is to not allow yourself to get into the red, but what do you look like when things are in the red? Okay, I find it hard to get out of bed in the morning. I am really avoidant of my business, or getting back to clients, or showing up on Instagram. My thoughts are catastrophizing. I'm being super negative. You know, I feel like hiding away, like whatever it is for you, just being a little bit self-aware around your energy and your own traffic light system, right? And there's a little grid here that you could do in your spare time if you wanted to, but it just helps you. It's like a little cheat sheet, right? It's like a little cheat sheet where you know your own symptoms, or like, you know, how you're showing up when you're in the green, when you're in the orange, and when you're in the red. So I'm winning when I am. You know, I can get out of bed in the morning when my alarm goes off. You know, my focus is good. My environment is tidy, or I'm getting my training done. Like, what does you in the green look like? And then you could say, okay, remedies. So in order to stay winning, I need to continue to go to bed early, continue to plan my diary, continue to take my downtime and have healthy boundaries with work, continue to meet a friend every week and have a good old belly laugh, or, you know, go to my PT sessions, whatever it is, right? And the same with the orange. Okay, when I'm slipping, I am like, how am I showing up when that starts to happen? And then the remedies, it's like a cheat sheet basically. If you're ever foggy in your mind or you're starting to slip, you just go to this sheet and you're like, oh yeah, okay, I'm starting to slip into the orange now. When I was in a good steed, what did I say that I needed to do if I was in the orange? Oh yeah, okay, book in my personal training sessions, or honor my work hours better. Start going to bed earlier. You know, whatever it is. Okay, if I'm in the red, I know I'm burnt out when I am snappy at my partner, having, you know, fights at home, or not showing up for my work. Okay, remedies to get out of the red, I need to, and maybe they're a little bit more heavy duty. Book a therapy session. You know, book a coaching call with Ash. Whatever it is, but like you have certain things that you need to do to get yourself out of the red and back into the orange and back into the green again. And this can be a handy sheet, like to raise your awareness of your energy and your personal standards and keeping yourself right. That's the biggest thing. If you can keep yourself right as a business owner, everything is easier. You show up to work better, you do your work better, you find clients easier, you know, your productivity is better, your focus, your creativity. The biggest thing that you can do to run a good business is to get good at managing yourself. Literally, start with the foundation, start with the basics, and a lot of things fall into place after that. So Annie, would that be helpful? Do you think that grid? Like just to raise a bit of awareness, just to sit down of a day with a coffee or whatever, and whether you go through it and like just say, geez, where am I at the moment? Okay, I feel like I'm probably in the orange. Okay, what would get me back into the green a little bit? What are the things that I can do and I can take control over? Right? Or vice versa. You might say, oh God, I'm actually in the green. Okay, I'm going well. So in order to stay in the green now, what do I need to keep doing? What do I need to focus on? Great. Yeah, I'm glad that would be helpful. Brilliant. This is just a little example of this exercise that I did in a one-to-one coaching call, just so you can see how it kind of like shows in real life. But this person, when they're in the green, like they show up with intention in their business, they show up on socials, their week is planned, the response time is quicker for stuff, they're more valuable to their clients, they're more confident, they've more conviction, they're not shying away in their business, they've good energy, they feel productive, and they're happier. And then they put in like, okay, they need to continue with this stuff in order to stay in the green, right? Reading in bed, less screen time, have social plans, get enough sleep, continue their gym in the morning. That keeps them good. They said, okay, if they're in the orange, they feel like they've no plan for the day, they're rushing about, a bit chaotic, room starts to get messy, not ready the night before, they don't feel motivated to work. If everything feels more of a task, they begin to procrastinate and they put things off and they have poor boundaries. That is this person's like telltale signs for their orange. And they said to fix that, then they need a bit of accountability. They need to prep the night before, they plan the next day, change up their environment at work, writing a reminders list or a bit of a brain dump, and they need to get to bed earlier. That's like their cheat sheet. And finally, if they're in the red, they begin to sleep in, they have a bit of a tick box attitude, there's avoidance. She said literally cabbage mode activated, right? So she's not much good. There's a bit of guilt and shame creeps in, the food slips, and she gets super self-critical and negative of herself. And when that happens, she needs to practice self-compassion. She needs to have active rest. She needs support from the group or from the coach. And she said she was going to use the group chat to be able to fire in a message and be like, oh girls, I'm a bit, I'm not going good this week, or whatever. And she gets a bit of support or a bit of an uplift or whatever. So that's kind of an example of a real life one that you might be able to have for yourself, just a handy one to have at your desk and just to check in on every now and again. So now, that was a lot of information in one session, but I am not expecting you to remember it all. I'm not expecting you to implement it all. You might want to go over this at another stage. You will have the video, you'll have the slides, and they'll be at your disposal basically for evermore. You have them forever. So it might be something that down the track you're like, oh yeah, I remember now actually. Like it mightn't be actually relevant to you at all now, but might get to the point where you need to start managing your time a little bit better, or you're starting to feel, you're slipping into the orange, whatever, and you can come back to this at any point. So what I'd love to know from yourselves now are, what are your action points from today's session? What will you do? And when will you do them by? So that's something that I'm going to ask after every single session that we do together as a group. Ask you for your action points. So maybe pick out only one or two things from today's session that you want to do. It could be sitting down to decide on your focus and flow tasks and when you're going to do them. It could be sitting down to think about your traffic light system. It could be, whatever it is. Just jot it down and also set a time or a date that you'd like to do it by. You could say, I want to sit down and do that on Thursday, or I'm going to have that done by the next time that we chat as a group. Eleanor, for you mentioned the onboarding thing. It could be like, I want to have an onboarding system created by the next time that we have a group meeting. It's just something for yourself to have a little bit of a milestone to work towards and to keep yourself accountable, basically. So have a little think for a moment and pop it into the chat, or simply unmute if you want.
Ash, could I ask a quick question just about the onboarding?
Yes.
I did that years ago. I forget things I used to do that I don't do anymore, but I had pre-recorded a video just to say everything about the program and all that and the cost to save me kind of reiterating myself. And I used to send it out. And I found that was kind of people would be like, okay, thanks, I'd get back to you. And you'd hear nothing about it. So then I thought like the personal phone call might have more of a chance of kind of cementing the sale. So I'm just thinking out loud here. I wonder, would it be handy doing a pre-recorded thing with just the service and maybe not the price? And if they're interested in the service, then jump on a call. Would that be the best way to do that, do you think?
That is a slightly different thing that you're talking about there, actually,
Oh,
right?
sorry.
No. It's the same theory, right? For the onboarding, that's when like you have a client across the line and they've signed up.
Yeah,
And you're
sorry.
giving them the ins and outs of how the program works. What you're talking about there is like a thing called a pre-call framework, where, as you said, you put together a video of all the information, and it was kind of like prefacing the sales call or the discovery call or whatever. Yeah, exactly. I think you're right there. I used to find that unless I actually chatted to someone properly on a call and I could, chat to them about their challenges and I could properly explain the program to them and the value that I could add to them, that it was only truly then that they actually saw the value in the price of it. I sometimes feel like showing the price up front without having a conversation, whatever, that they mightn't fully appreciate the ins and outs of what you actually offer or how you can help them. So you could do that. You could send them on a rough framework or kind of like a document or a video of what the program entails, and then they could book their discovery call if you wanted to. It's something I've never done in my business for that very reason. I just felt it was better to have a conversation on the call.
Yeah, okay, no, that's fair.
Yeah. I know some people do it like as a qualifying process. They don't want time wasters, or they want people to like they want to save 10 minutes on the call instead of explaining what it is by giving out a video. Um, but I feel like unless you have a shit ton of leads and you're seriously under pressure for discovery calls and stuff, my personal preference would be to have a call with everybody, as an inquiry or whatever. And the other thing it allows you to do as well, Diane, is it allows you to come up with a solution for people in kind of real time. So we'll just say that you said, look, I have a 12-week program, it costs X. And they said, oh, crikey, do you know what? I can't afford it, or it's more expensive than I thought it would be. And you can turn around and say, okay, look, no problem. No problem, only solutions. Okay, would us working together for maybe 6 weeks, half the price, be more of a solution right now to get you going and to get you started or whatever. And all of a sudden you have a sale and you are working with someone for 6 weeks. Maybe they've half the amount, but they start working with you and they see the value and they're happy actually to pay the other half. But that would never have happened had it only been in a video and you told them pricing like, oh, I can't work with Diane, so I'm out,
Yeah, no, that's completely fair. Great, thanks a million.
No bother at all, no hassle. I'll just go to the chat here and see. Okay, tasks. Brainstorm, focus, flow, and free time tasks. Set up time blocks for them in the week. Brilliant. And have done by the next session. Fantastic. Eleanor said, listen back to the start. Work out by 80-20. Yeah. Think about focus, flow, and free time. Yeah. And start making an onboarding system. Great. Mary said, use the Eisenhower matrix to gain clarity around my current to-do list. And if it's aligned to what I want my business to do, focus more on the 20% tasks that bring in more results. Yeah. Great. We'll all be looking on the Instagram now where you see the buy link for the prints and all the prints advertised on the stories and all the rest. So we'll be looking out for them. Rearrange my focus tasks to better times during the day. Yeah. Start to write out website content. Yes. Can we share each other's Instagram links? Absolutely. What I'd probably recommend actually is if you can share your links into the WhatsApp chat, because that'll stay in there. This chat will get wiped after the Zoom, obviously. So how about you all pop in your Instagrams into the WhatsApp, and you can be kind of keeping an eye out for each other or whatever, and give each other a bit of support. Great. So that is our first session done and dusted. Eleanor, if we just take one moment, if you would like to explain what your business is about, the rest of the girls did at the start of the call, but would you like to share maybe what your business is about and what you're hoping to get out of the course, maybe?
Right. Hi, I'm Eleanor. I live in Cork and I retired from healthcare about 18 months ago. I retrained as a coach. I've only started my business in about September. Uh, I've always worked for HSE, stroke UCC, so I'm an absolute novice in business, and that's why I'm here. Not great on the old Insta, so I do have an Insta, but there's nothing on it. So yeah, I have a lot to learn, and that's why I'm here. So my coaching business is I'm still refining my niche, but I'm hoping to focus about the area of retirement, chronic illness, and also relationship, divorce, separation. And those are my thoughts. I'm still working on that. As I say, very much I'm very much a work in progress at the moment. I am coaching actively though, and I've clocked up for a few hours. And I suppose the more I do, the more I'm finding out what I want to do and what I don't want to do.
Great, Eleanor. Brilliant. Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing. Great. So that is it for tonight's session. As I said, there was a lot of information in there. I don't expect you to remember all of it by any means. You have the videos, you have the slides. If you took one or two things from tonight and started to implement them, that would be like a great help. But just as an overall, just before we wrap up, I know it's 1:15 there, but would anyone like to share like maybe their thoughts on the first session? Like, has anything changed mindset wise, or have you picked up any perspective maybe that has changed anything for you, or how do you feel after the first session maybe?
Aisling, it's just given so much clarity and focus. Like, I feel like I have a starting point, especially with the blocks. Do you know, I mean, I'm very visual as well. So like I almost see these kind of things in my week coming up, and then just a knowing of just that knowing about what's enough. You know what I mean? Because like that, my whole day could be business. And like what you said about that, or what your outputs are and time, like, you know, just the realization and the expectations of what you should be doing in your business it's been very insightful. So I feel so much, I just feel like I can, yeah, a lot more clarity, you know.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Fantastic. No problem. I'm delighted that you got from tonight, Natasha. So brilliant. Ellen?
Yeah, I feel like the traffic light system was really helpful because I didn't really realize, but I was like in the red for a while. I don't feel like I'm there anymore, but the way that you described it and put the visuals on it really helped. And I hope that if that I ever feel slipping, that I'll like that exercise will really help. And then also the Parkinson's law. Like I am so bad at being like, well, it's not 5:30, so I can't leave. I'll find something to do. Focusing on like what will actually help my business and like letting go of those old routines and being okay with going for a coffee if it's the middle of the day, if you've got your jobs done or whatever. So I'm going to challenge myself and try and do that one day soon.
Great. Fantastic. Sounds really, really good. If you can swing that one, it makes such a difference. Like
Mm.
it really does. Like it makes such a difference to your work life and your productivity and everything. Yeah, big time. Yeah.
Thanks.
Anyone else like to share?
For me, I think it's really realizing, like I get frustrated sometimes thinking like, oh, I'm not doing enough. I have to work more in order to have a certain output. But it's actually realizing that focusing more on the 20%, I think that's the big one for me. Because obviously that will make the most results. So I think focusing on more of the 20% and less of the 80%, the tasks that like are good to do in the background but aren't strictly necessary.
Yeah. Brilliant,
Yeah.
Mary. Excellent. Yeah. Fantastic. Diana, you unmuted there.
Yes, I agree with Mary there. I need to kind of focus more on the things that could kind of generate me more income. Like I'm very focused on my current clients. That's been my forefront. I want to deliver the best I can to them, which I won't sacrifice, but I'm not focusing on the other, which I need to. But I love the focus time as well because I'm really good at blocking out my calendar. I have to do it by hour because I'm so busy. I'm out in the morning to work and then I'm home to bring my son to school and then I'm back to work and then I collect him from school. And my day is just busy. So I'm really good at managing my time, but I'm not managing the right things at the right time for my mental energy, do you know, that way. So yeah, that's class. I'll start implementing that now this week.
Brilliant. Fantastic. Eleanor, would you like to add anything or happy enough?
Good. I'm happy enough. I suppose I've been doing a lot of thinking over the past 4 weeks anyway, so, and you've given me more to think about. If I can ask you actually about one thing you said, and it was about, I suppose, linked into the 80/20, spending time working on the bio. And I've been doing that, as in working on my profile, because I felt that was linked into the marketing. But I'm not sure now that that's
Well,
whether
I
good
feel
or
like
bad.
people spend hours and hours and hours curating this perfect, your bio was like one sentence in your Instagram page or on a LinkedIn or whatever to try and sum up what you do. And it's
Right.
impossible to sum up what you do in one sentence, but people get obsessed with hours trying to curate this perfect bio or whatever. But like, I don't truly believe it makes a massive, huge difference in their business, because like people buy into you and what you do and your knowledge and who you are as a person. They're not going to make or break an inquiry with a bio. I actually had one friend, she's actually a copywriter of mine. Previously, she's doing my copywriting, and as an experiment, she put in her bio like something like farcical, like, bios don't really matter a shit, and this is whatever. Like, she just totally made one up and took the piss basically, and no one ever spotted it, and no one ever pointed it out, or clients like never said, oh, that's kind of weird, I'm not making an inquiry or whatever. But like, she did it to prove a point basically. You see these things of like, I help busy professionals do whatever, and people get so caught up in that, changing it around, and like, put that time into like the money making tasks, and you won't be so reliant on. So that's what I mean by like the bio stuff. It's just small things that people get totally caught up on, spend hours on, and it actually really doesn't move anything forward.
Isn't that part of the money making tasks? Like, isn't it what's on your website is what's going to get
A website is slightly
the
different then, I suppose.
leads?
The bio that I was saying there earlier is like, the line in your Instagram thing,
Okay.
where one line is not going to make a huge difference. I would think that you're better off putting time into like a valuable post or a valuable reel, or giving value and people seeing what you know and the experience that you have and the wisdom that you have from that,
Mm.
as opposed to like one or two words changing in your bio and getting obsessed about like, oh, should it be busy professionals or should it be whatever? It doesn't really matter. Like, if they know you're good, you're good.
Mm. Thank
Um,
you. I'll
that'll
have
be
to think about that because that's all Japanese to me with the idea of reels and posts and things. Sorry, I'm starting to feel like the dinosaur of the group here, but
not at all. No
it's just a
bother.
different world to me.
Not a
Yeah.
bother. And you know what? Instagram, you'll probably get your clients in other places, Eleanor. We'll speak about that too. If you were never on Instagram, you could totally get clients in other places as well. You know what I mean? Everyone will have a different platform or a different way of finding clients. So if you never did a reel ever in your life, you'd be grand. Like, you'll get clients. So there's no problem with that.
Thank you.
We'll
It
chat
was a
about
great
that as
session. Yeah, it was a great
Yeah,
session.
no worries, thanks. And we'll chat about that as we go along. There'll be lots of different ways to find leads and attract clients and all the rest. So, ladies, it's 8:20. I'm very conscious of your time, so I will let you go. But we'll have the group chat. Pop in any feedback, or if you end up doing your tasks, like take a little snap of it, or if you end up doing a lovely whatever, keep yourself accountable, or like share what you're doing or whatever. Any little wins, any little bit of progress, fire it into the group. It'll be great for the bit of morale and the bit of inspiration. And if you need anything from me, you know where I am, so just let me know. Is that all right?
Thank you, Ash.
Thank
That was
you.
brilliant.
Thank
Thanks
you.
so much.
Great.
Looking forward to getting
Thank
to know
you.
everybody.
Not a
nice
bother,
weekend.
no hassle. And have a lovely evening there, and we'll chat to you during the week. All right?
You too.
Fantastic.
Bye,
Thank you.
guys.
Later.
Good night,
Bye.
everybody.
See you,
Bye.
ladies. Bye. Bye-bye.